Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the very thing you're doing to be liked is silently killing your respect? Every time you bend, agree, or compromise just to make someone happy, you're shrinking your own value. Imagine walking into a room and commanding respect not because people are afraid of you, not because they feel obligated, but because they recognize your authenticity, your courage, and your unwavering truth. Today, I'm going to show you why pleasing everyone is the fastest way to being invisible, and how the moment you stop, everything changes. Ladies and gentlemen, respect is not something you demand, it is something you earn. And too often, we believe that the way to earn respect is to make everyone happy, to bend, to adjust, to mold ourselves into what others expect. We live in a world that constantly tells us, be liked, be agreeable, fit in, as if our value is measured by the smiles we collect or the nods we receive. But here's the truth, when you spend your life pleasing everyone, you please no one, not even yourself. Think about it. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, every time you swallow your opinions to avoid conflict, every time you hide your true thoughts just to keep the peace, you are diminishing your own presence. You are giving away the very thing that commands respect, authenticity. People don't respect someone who is constantly trying to please. They respect someone who stands firm, who speaks their truth, who acts from conviction, even when it's uncomfortable. Respect is not about popularity. It is about clarity. It is about understanding your values, knowing what you stand for, and living in alignment with that, no matter the reactions you provoke. When you stop trying to meet everyone's expectations, something extraordinary happens. You start to attract the people who value you for who you truly are. You start to draw in relationships, opportunities, and collaborations that are built on genuine understanding, not superficial approval. The people who respect you most are not the ones who always agree with you. They are the ones who see you act with integrity, even when it's difficult. They see you prioritize principles over comfort, purpose over pleasing, and make no mistake, this requires courage. Courage to say no to someone's demand, courage to stand your ground, courage to accept that not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Because the moment you place the weight of everyone else's approval on your shoulders, you begin to live a life dictated by fear instead of intention. Imagine what happens when you stop seeking validation from every person you meet. You gain focus, you gain energy. You gain the ability to lead not through coercion or charm, but through conviction. Leaders who try to please everyone fail because they have no direction. Leaders who operate from their values inspire because they have a foundation that cannot be shaken by disagreement. They are not fragile, they are resilient, and that resilience commands respect naturally. Respect grows where authenticity is present. It grows where honesty exists, even when it's uncomfortable. It grows where people see you consistently acting in accordance with your principles, not bending for approval. When you stop pleasing everyone, you stop diluting your message, your mission, your worth. You start showing the world who you really are, and that clarity is magnetic. So if you want to be respected, you have to embrace a paradox. You have to accept that some people will not like you, that some doors will close, that criticism will come. But that is not reflection of your value. Your value is defined by your alignment with your own truth, your willingness to take a stand, and your courage to be yourself unapologetically. The moment you understand this, the need for universal approval disappears, and what emerges is a presence so authentic, so powerful, that respect is not asked for, it is inevitable. Respect begins the moment you stop being a mirror for others' expectations and start being a reflection of your own integrity. It begins when you realize that pleasing everyone is a trap, and authenticity is the path forward. It begins when you choose yourself, your principles, and your voice, even if it means standing alone. Because in that space, in that courage, in that unwavering alignment with who you are, respect finds you, not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. And once you start walking that path, you begin to notice something remarkable. The people who truly belong in your life start to emerge. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, the distractions fade. The relationships built on superficiality dissolve, and you are left with connections that matter, connections that are real, connections that are based on mutual respect rather than convenience or obligation. This is when you begin to understand that respect is not given lightly, it is earned, and it is earned by showing up fully, with courage and authenticity every single day. Think about the power of presence. When you are not bending yourself into shapes to fit someone else's expectations, you become fully present in your own life. Your words carry weight because they are chosen intentionally. Your actions carry purpose because they are aligned with your values. People feel this, they sense it, even if they cannot articulate it. There is a magnetic quality to someone who stands by their principles, a quiet confidence that commands attention and inspires trust. And that is how respect grows, not by flattery, not by compliance, but by consistency, by integrity, by showing that you value yourself enough to stand firm. Now, let's address a fear that holds so many people back, the fear of conflict. We have been conditioned to believe that disagreement is dangerous, that saying no, or expressing a contrary opinion will lead to rejection or isolation. But the truth is the opposite. Conflict, when approached with honesty and respect, is not destructive, it is clarifying. It separates those who will support you from those who will not, it defines the boundaries of who you are, and it creates space for meaningful dialogue and understanding. Avoiding conflict for the sake of approval is a shortcut to mediocrity. Confronting it with courage is the gateway to respect and influence. Consider your energy, the most finite resource you have. Every time you stretch yourself thin to make someone else comfortable, you deplete the energy you could have invested in your growth, your vision, your purpose. People who spend their lives pleasing everyone are exhausted, scattered, and invisible in the midst of their own chaos. But those who embrace their own values, who say no when necessary, who set boundaries unapologetically, conserve their energy for what truly matters. And in doing so, they become unstoppable. They become individuals whose presence matters, whose words resonate, whose decisions carry weight. And let's not confuse this with arrogance. Authenticity and respect are not about ego, they are about clarity and courage. Arrogance seeks to dominate, authenticity seeks to align. Arrogance demands attention, authenticity earns it. And here lies the subtle difference. When you stop pleasing everyone, you are not rejecting others. You are prioritizing alignment over appeasement. You are not becoming hard or unapproachable. You are becoming intentional. You are creating a space where meaningful connection is possible because you are no longer negotiating your values for temporary approval. Every yes you give out of obligation is a no to yourself. Every compromise that sacrifices your principles is a missed opportunity to show the world who you are. Respect is born when you refuse to shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. It grows when you accept the discomfort of standing firm. It flourishes when you embrace the fact that you will disappoint some people, and that is not failure, that is clarity. The moment you internalize this, the pressure to be liked dissolves, and what emerges is an unshakable presence that others cannot help but notice. And here is the ultimate truth. People do not respect those who have no boundaries. They do not respect those who cannot say no. They do not respect someone who will sacrifice their values for temporary acceptance. But they cannot help but respect the person who knows themselves, who knows their worth, who lives with integrity. Respect is not a gift, it is a consequence. It is a consequence of courage, of conviction, of unwavering alignment with your own truth. And when you live that way, the world adjusts, doors open, opportunities arrive, people take notice. Influence grows, and all of this happens not because you sought validation, but because you chose authenticity. So, as you continue on this journey, remember that the path to respect is not through pleasing, conforming, or chasing approval. It is through clarity, courage, and consistency. It is through embracing your values, standing by your principles, and speaking your truth. It is through the relentless commitment to be yourself, unapologetically, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it is risky, even when it means standing alone. Because it is in that space between courage and conviction that true respect is born, and it is there that you finally begin to live a life of influence, impact, and meaning that no amount of approval seeking could ever create. And when you embrace this mindset fully, you begin to understand that respect is not about controlling how others perceive you. It is about controlling how you show up in the world. It is about taking ownership of your actions, your words, and your boundaries. Too often, we tie our sense of worth to the reactions of others. We measure our value by likes, compliments, or approval, but that is a fragile foundation. Approval is fleeting. Respect, earned through integrity, is enduring. When you stop chasing validation and start living in alignment with your values, you become resilient to the opinions of others, and in that resilience you find freedom. Freedom to speak your truth without hesitation. Freedom to pursue your goals without distraction. Freedom to act intentionally rather than reactively. And here's the paradox: the more you stop trying to please everyone, the more influence you actually gain. People are drawn to certainty, to confidence, to authenticity. They are drawn to individuals who know what they stand for and do not waver in the face of pressure. Trying to please everyone signals uncertainty. Standing firm signals strength. And strength commands respect because it demonstrates that your actions are driven not by fear but by purpose. Consider the people you admire most. They are rarely people who sought approval from everyone. They are not the ones who said yes to every request, who softened their edges to avoid conflict, or who diluted their ideas to make others comfortable. No, they are the ones who stood their ground, who embraced their individuality, who acted with conviction even when it was unpopular. They are respected not because they were agreeable, but because they were authentic. And authenticity, once cultivated, cannot be faked, cannot be borrowed, and cannot be ignored. It is also important to understand that boundaries are the backbone of respect. When you define what is acceptable and what is not, you communicate your value without uttering a single word. Boundaries are not walls, they are statements of clarity. They tell the world, I am worthy, I am intentional, I am here to contribute meaningfully, not to be taken for granted. Without boundaries, you become pliable, and pliability is rarely respected. With boundaries, you create a space where mutual respect is not optional, it is necessary. And there is courage in saying no, courage in setting limits, courage in asserting your needs, courage in prioritizing your vision over temporary comfort. This courage is contagious. It inspires others to act with integrity, to evaluate their own actions, and to step into their authenticity. The world does not respect indecision or people who sacrifice themselves to maintain peace. The world respects those who take responsibility for their choices, who face discomfort head-on, who are unapologetically themselves. You also begin to realize that pleasing everyone comes with a hidden cost, invisibility. When you constantly try to conform, you blend into the background. Your voice, your ideas, your presence lose impact because they are diluted in the attempt to accommodate. But when you stop that cycle, when you embrace your own values and priorities, you emerge with clarity. Your voice is heard, your vision is felt, your presence is noticed, and notice is the first step toward influence and impact. Another crucial realization is that not everyone's approval is worth having. Some people will never understand your journey, your values, or your decisions. Some will resist your boundaries, criticize your actions, or attempt to manipulate your choices. That is not a reflection of your worth. That is simply the world testing your conviction. Every moment you resist the urge to please unnecessarily, you reinforce your integrity. Every boundary you honor strengthens your self-respect. Every uncomfortable conversation you face head-on builds a reputation that cannot be shaken by trivial disapproval. Living this way also aligns you with purpose. When your actions are dictated by your values rather than the whims of others, you operate from a place of authenticity, focus, and intention. You are no longer reactive. You are proactive. You no longer chase fleeting approval. You pursue lasting impact. And it is in that pursuit that respect naturally follows. Respect is not a strategy. It is a byproduct of consistency, courage, and alignment. Finally, understand this. The moment you stop trying to please everyone, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your time, your energy, your focus. You become accountable not to the approval of the masses, but to the integrity of your own actions. And in doing so, you create a life where respect is not optional, where influence is natural, and where authenticity is celebrated. Because the world will always react to you, but when you are unwavering in your principles, the reaction is admiration, not indifference, and that is the essence of true respect. And as you continue down this path, you begin to notice a profound shift, not just in how others respond to you, but in how you respond to yourself. There is a deep sense of liberation that comes from no longer living in service to the expectations of others. No more second-guessing every word, no more revising every action to fit someone else's comfort zone. You start to see the power in your own choices, the weight of your own voice, the clarity of your own vision. When you live from this place, your life stops being a reaction to the world and starts being an intentional creation of your purpose. The people who truly respect you are not attracted by your compliance, they are drawn to your conviction. They see someone who does not compromise their principles for convenience, someone who does not yield to the pressure of popularity, someone who understands that integrity is non-negotiable. And when people see that, something remarkable happens. They begin to trust you without question. They may not always agree with you, but they know where you stand. And in that trust, respect is born. It is the kind of respect that cannot be bought, cannot be fabricated, and cannot be undermined, because it is rooted in authenticity and consistency. It is also in this space that you begin to recognize the difference between influence and manipulation. Pleasing everyone often feels like influence because people nod along, they smile, they agree. But it is a false influence. It is fleeting, shallow, and dependent entirely on external validation. Real influence, the kind that lasts, comes from alignment. It comes from being unshakable in your values while still remaining open to growth and learning. It comes from showing others that your actions are guided by principle, not by a desire to be liked. And that kind of influence does not fade, it grows stronger over time. This journey is not easy, and it is not without sacrifice. There will be times when you feel isolated, when criticism comes from unexpected corners, when people you thought would support you turn away. That is not a sign of weakness. That is the inevitable consequence of choosing respect over approval. Some doors will close, but every door that closes makes space for opportunities aligned with your authenticity. Every person who cannot accept your boundaries reveals their true alignment, or lack thereof, with your values. And in this process, your life begins to filter itself naturally, bringing in only the people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your truth. Another critical realization is that pleasing everyone often leads to compromise of your purpose. You dilute your energy, scatter your focus, and become trapped in a cycle of trying to maintain peace rather than pursuing progress. But when you prioritize your own values, when you commit to your own vision, you focus your energy where it matters most. You stop chasing trivial approval and start building momentum toward meaningful achievements. This focus, this intensity, this clarity, people notice it. It commands respect, and the respect you earn in this way is not transactional. It is a reflection of the impact you are creating simply by being yourself. Think about the power of consistency. People respect those who show up predictably in their integrity, in their values, in their commitment. Every action you take, every boundary you enforce, every no you deliver with respect and conviction reinforces your credibility. And credibility is the foundation of respect. Without it, popularity fades. Without it, influence evaporates. But with it, even those who initially resist you cannot help but acknowledge your presence, your authority, and your strength. It is also important to internalize that the fear of rejection is a mirage. When you stop seeking universal approval, you realize that rejection is not an end. It is a filter. Every person who does not align with your principles is not a loss. They are simply not meant to be part of your journey. The people, the teams, the partnerships that matter will align naturally with your authenticity. And when that alignment occurs, collaboration becomes effortless, trust becomes automatic, and respect flows freely. Ultimately, choosing respect over approval transforms the way you live, think, and lead. You begin to live from a position of strength, not fear. You begin to communicate from clarity, not uncertainty. You begin to act from purpose, not obligation. And in every interaction, every decision, every boundary, you model a standard that others cannot ignore. You show the world that true respect is not granted by charm or appeasement. It is earned by courage, integrity, and unwavering alignment with your own truth. And as this transformation unfolds, you realize the greatest respect you will ever earn is the one you give yourself. The respect that comes from honoring your own values, protecting your own boundaries, and choosing authenticity over approval is unshakable. It is not dependent on circumstance, audience, or outcome. It is internal, it is lasting, and it radiates outward. And when you live this way, everything else, relationships, opportunities, influence naturally aligns, because respect always follows authenticity.